Hi, I'm Walter Joseph, and I'm here with fine art photographer Glenn Perrott. Welcome.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Pretty good. It's a pleasure to have you here, Glenn.
Hey, thanks for having me. The process is called direct carbon. It's one of the oldest printing processes in photographic or in photography. It dates all the way back to the early 1850s, the times of daguerreotypes and Henry Fox Talbot and those pioneering photographers, basically. Because everything was handmade, it was crafted. It was from the emulsion. We made the emulsion. We coated our paper. We made our negatives. It was just a most wonderful experience to see something evolve into something so beautiful from nothing. So yeah, that's the process. I'm a traditionalist. I started with film and Polaroid, you know, and I stuck with that for years and years and years. So it took me a long time to be drawn in by the digital revolution, okay? It took quite a long time for me to be drawn in by that. It's not until I came to the States, that I came back to America, that I embraced that technology. And when I did embrace that technology, you know, it's like a new toy. You know, I wanted to do something special with it.
From hearing the concept to actually seeing his images come out of these printers really was an eye-opening experience, and the imagery that he was able to capture and then actually see on print was an extremely rewarding experience.
The first time I was confronted by my own image, it frightened me, okay? And I can tell you why very, very easily. We never see ourselves in that kind of detail, all right? And like the texture of every hair. And very honestly, when I got up close, it looks like you could park Volkswagens in the pores of my skin, all right?
As you experience Glenn's work from a distance, it's very, well, they're beautiful. I mean, they look like gods or saints. And as you approach it and get closer, you see every flaw that they have. So the sitters become very human. And we thought that that was a really nice way to get this idea across, that, you know, that these are, you know, they're beautiful photographs, but still as you approach them closer, even though they have flaws, you, in a sense, get to know these people better.
The prints really blew us away here, but upon seeing them in the gallery, actually mounted and on the gallery walls, completely blew us away in terms of the overall image quality, the impact and the feeling that Glenn was trying to get across with those images.
The person's right there in your face, and it's almost, not only does it feel voyeuristic, it almost feels a little dirty, because you're getting too intimate with this person. You're getting way inside their personal space. You know, different cultures have a certain distance that we're comfortable with. You know, Japanese is actually a lot further than us, in some, which is weird because their country's smaller and there's less room. But in other countries, you know, like in Europe, they expect you, you know, they don't mind you getting a little bit closer. We Americans have a certain personal space. Based on the scale of this, I don't care if you're across the room looking at Glenn's work, you're in that person's personal space.
I think it's definitely powerful. It's powerful from a distance, and then when you go up and look at, obviously when you look at the work up close, it's intense. When we saw the work at the Tampa Museum of Art, we thought, wow, those are brave people that that are consenting to be in front of his camera.
An ongoing theme for me, which is pushing the boundaries of portraiture. I've been doing that for years. I love the face, okay? And a lot of my commercial work in London was all about characters, about the face. You know, that's where, you know, what I was known for. So when I decided to do this body of work open, I wanted to concentrate on the face as a landscape. I wanted these pieces to be larger than life, you know, hyper-real entities, so to speak. And hopefully I achieved that.
Glenn, I'm so glad to hear that Open is doing so well. It's been exhibited at several museums here in the Florida area. That's great to hear.
Thank you.
I've also been told that you recently participated in the Houston Photography Festival.
That's correct.
Which is, I hear, the biggest event of its kind in the world. That is awesome. That is awesome. So while there, I've been told that you get the opportunity to interact with very influential and affluent curators, art galleries, art directors, and other artists as well. So tell us, you know, how did this go down? In addition to that, you know, tell us a little bit about, you know, your true perception of fine art.
The beautiful thing about fine art photography for me is that once and for all, I could actually create pictures for myself with my own vision. It's just all mine, okay? It's my statement, it's my vision, it's everything that reflects me.
Okay, I don't see the distinction that some people make up between fine art and commercial art. I'm going to give you two examples, Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. They both worked for the popes, they both worked for the Medicis, and they were commissioned to do a specific piece of work by the patron, and they had to satisfy that patron. And in my world, that's commercial art because it was designed and done for a specific patron for payment. When an artist goes in a room by himself and decides to create something just for the joy of creation and not worry about if it'll ever sell or if anybody will ever like it, that to me is fine art.
Fine art's a little bit different, not only from the creator's perspective, but also from the viewer's perspective. And what Glenn's work does is it sort of amps up and enhances the viewer's perspective from a fine art.
I definitely believe that fine art still exists. You know, I mean, there's definitely the argument that there's nothing new out there. Everything that artists are making now has been done before, and there's certainly artists that are taking things from the commercial art world, perhaps, and incorporating them into their fine art.
Conversely, I've worked with artists who have been influenced by what's going on in the commercial world. There's a gray area between those two things that I think is actually kind of where things get interesting.
The other. What it comes down to is, in the main difference, is the communication, what you're communicating.
So the two are just, I think, I don't really see a reason to separate the two. And certainly a commercial photographer can approach a subject as an artist would. And I think they should.
And generally with design, and it doesn't matter if you're doing advertising or designing a website or whatever, most of what you do is about communication. Now granted, it's visual communication, but you know, most of what you do comes down to visual communication. And in the case of design, you're a hired gun. You have a client, usually an advertiser, somebody has a product or a service to sell, and you are trying to communicate their message for them as best you can using design, using visual elements. When you're doing fine art, you got your own message.
I worked on the commercial side before, and I certainly worked with photographers that dealt with the subject, no matter how pedestrian, with an artistic eye.
You can get away with a lot more in fine art. You can, because you're doing your own message. You can be offensive, and there's a lot of artists that are offensive just for the sake of being offensive. And you know what? They can do that. You could never do that in design because you know you're representing a product. How could I be nasty and do a good banana ad?
Experiences that most of the people who are in photography, whether they're shooting something for home shopping or something for their own portfolio, tend to take it pretty seriously because that's what they do.
All right, Glenn, while you were in London, you had an opportunity to really delve into commercial art. You know, you were truly a commercial artist. You know, you've had an opportunity to work with a lot of great art directors, a lot of athletes, a lot of great businesses. You know, give me your take on commercial art.
Walter, as an advertising photographer, you are basically a magician. You are creating something out of nothing. Basically, you're given a, you know, piece of paper with a little scribble on it, and there, you know, and this guy comes to you, your client comes to you and says, can you do this? And it's a stick drawing, but it's asking you to do the impossible.
With design and fine art, you got the exact same thing going on. You have styles, and a lot of those styles are driven by philosophical concepts. And so as these new things come out in the fine arts, commercial art follows slightly behind it because it takes a little while for like Freud, it takes a little while for the public to sort of accept those new ideas. And again, you know, commercial art is about appeal.
The downside of commercial photography is, well, for me anyway, was that I'm actually creating someone else's vision, you know, and that was a little bit of a, that always was on my mind, you know, that part of my career, that, you know, I just want to create for myself. I want it to be my vision, you know. Basically, I'm just like a glorified button pusher in a sense, you know. It's someone else's concept, it's someone else's idea. I'm just like, well, okay, I could do this. You're paying me lots of money, okay? And I'm gonna have fun doing it as well, but it's not mine.
For a long time, there's been sort of an idea that craft has gone down. Especially like in fine art, craft is not as important, or craftsmanship is not as important as content. In design, it's sort of seen as the other way around, that that craft is more important than content in many cases. The truth is, and this is my experience as a professional on both sides, both of it's bull hockey, because it takes both. It takes good content and it takes good craft. It doesn't matter whether it's making a good fine art piece. I don't care if it's sculpture or painting or film, or to make a good ad or a good website. It's, you know, if you're not to par on both parts, it's not going to work.
Glenn, it's definitely been a pleasure having the opportunity to hear about Open, you know, to hear, you know, some of your personal experiences from the past, you know, to your professional experiences. It's been great. Just want to say thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.